Hi, everyone. It's Lois Creamer of Book More Business, and I am here today with a special announcement, something that I have been looking forward to talking to you about. And as we talk about this new offering from Book More Business, I want to introduce you to my partner in crime on this project, Doug Devitre, who is an incredible speaker, author, and an absolute guru on AI. Doug, it's good to have you here today.
Thanks, Lois. It's always fun to catch up and see how we can help more people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Talk a little bit about this program that we've been working on for quite a while, and we're excited to finally put it out in the public.
Well, it's interesting when we first started this conversation, I was looking at applying for full-time jobs, right? And in that process, it can be really tedious. You have to say the same information over and over again, except you have to personalize it for each specific role. And then I thought, well, gosh, as speakers, right, as professional speakers, meeting planners want customized programs that match their existing needs, their event theme. And so we kind of have to personalize our approach, or even if it's an RFP, customize that. And so that's when I said, well, Lois, why don't I just create this for you, right, to see what it was like. And then you started asking some more questions because we were able to make some of these things work.
Basically, I was telling Doug when we started talking about this, besides the three books that I've written, which have a lot of good information for professional speakers, I also wrote an ebook called Tools and Templates for Speakers. And so we started talking about how can speakers apply that and customize it without having to reinvent the wheel every time they approach someone new. And that's really how this was born, wasn't it?
Sure. So when you think about a speaker has many different tools or ways to be able to deliver their expertise, right? Whether it's a presentation, whether it's a webinar, whether it's their website, or if they have a book, right? So the next evolution of that is creating an AI agent that really contains your expertise, your proprietary processes, and delivers it in a way that's like authentic to you, right? Um, so then what you did is you gave me your book, right? Book More Business, and then we end up turning that into
Yes.
this AI agent that helps create RFPs, creates a business plan, profit and loss calculator, calculate your speaker fee. We took your book and turned it into a course,
Yeah.
right? With modules and quizzes
Yes.
and all of these different things that normally it would take us, several months to do, and tens of thousands of dollars
I
to
was just going to say, yeah, and
what's that?
a huge amount of money.
Well, right. And I think it's important for speakers to have different ways for their clients or their end customers to be able to utilize their content, right? Because I think most speakers probably still have a website, they have a course, and they have a PDFs, right? But you can't play with a PDF. A PDF isn't really interactive unless it's a link to another PDF, or another website. So, with your proprietary process with Book More Business, you have to create a speaker's toolkit, right? You have to create social media content that's unique to you. You have to create an RFP that you're going to send to, a meeting planner or fill it out online. And that all comes from just the basic principles that you teach. But now speakers can quickly create that stuff using Lois 3.0, I guess we could call this.
I describe speaking as an intellectual property business. That's really the business we're in. We're in the business of intellectual property. Speaking is just one of the vehicles we use to put it out in the marketplace.
Right.
And taking the tools that I've developed over all of these years, I was actually blonde when I developed some of them, Doug. Taking all these tools I've developed over the years and being able to put it in an interactive something that you can customize so easily, create
Yeah.
templates so that you will spend minutes what took you hours to do, makes so much sense. Most of us mere mortals are solopreneurs. So
Right.
we need to be able to be productive with the finite amount of time we have to devote to this.
Well, I'm sure people are probably thinking, like, what the heck are you guys even talking about
Yeah,
right now? So if you don't mind, with your permission, I'd like to share my screen
please.
so I can take anyone who's interested, right? And so this could be an organization, this could be a speakers bureau that has a number of different speakers, what they're trying to work with. And know too that, with this platform, we're always open to suggestions, right? So
Yeah.
there's something that you say, well, I wish I could do that. Within no time, we can probably make that work. So let me just share my screen real quick. Make sure I've got the right screen pulled up. All right. So Lois, can you see the speaker's
I can.
toolkit dashboard?
I can.
All right, let me zoom in a little bit more. So it's mobile responsive. It works really well on the phones too. So when you think about the process getting started, Lois, I probably would read your book and then I would come to you and say, hey, can I hire you for an hour or 10 hours of coaching? Right.
Yes.
And then when you think about, well, you're going to give them assignments, right, for them to do. And then they didn't come back to you and say, okay, this is what I did. How can I make this better? I communicate with this client. What should I do differently? Right. So these tools right here make it a whole lot easier for you, because now your clients have access to some of these things that they would normally work with you in real time. So if I click on the profile settings for real quick, I know that many speakers already have some sort of PDF that they can upload into this system. Or let's say if you're using LinkedIn, right? There's a section on LinkedIn where you can click on, I think it's the resources, and then it's
Yes.
drop down where you can click generate PDF. So then you could just upload your PDF right into here, and then it loads your information right in. And so if it doesn't do it correctly, right, then you have the opportunity to go in here and change some of these things, right? So for travel requirements, I would probably say international travel, okay. Um, on speaking fee range, I can calculate my speaking fee
Yes.
with the speaking calculator. We'll get to that in a minute. What it does is it'll actually auto load in your information from the PDF to put in here for your professional bio, your background. You can add in your areas of specialization, so I probably wouldn't have president, but let's say I'm just writing technology, right?
Yeah.
Certifications, that's probably say 7-time AWS. Let's make that a little bit more clear. Amazon Web Services certified. Or maybe if you have these certified speaking,
Yes.
and you can type in your awards. You can save your profile, right? And then you can move on once it's saved. Then you can go to generating your speaker toolkit, right? So Lois, talk to us about the speaker toolkit that you really just advise speakers getting their basics down.
Yeah, there are certain things, certain essentials that you have to have. And this speaker toolkit section covers them all. You need to have a great one sheet. I can work with you on that. I can share a template, but these are the elements that belong in a one sheet. You need to have a great core offering sheet. You need to have a professional bio. And I like my clients to have a couple of different iterations of that bio, Doug, because different organizations ask for different things. This way, it's just easy. You're always prepared. Also, what do you talk about? How many programs do you offer? What are the outcomes of that program? I always say that the people who hire us to come in and speak aren't really hiring just a speech. What they're really hiring are the outcomes that we deliver. So this gives you a chance to really hone in on the outcomes that you deliver, so it's crystal clear to the buyer what they are going to get as a result of working with you. And then we have testimonials. You can put an introduction in there. and just all of the different elements that you'll need, that the people who hire you want to see from you in order to have confidence that you've done this before, that you can do what they're asking you to do. And so that's really what the toolkit part of this is. Am I prepared with the basic information that they are going to want to know, either before they talk to me or while they're talking to me, or if you work in the association market, what information would a program committee want to see? So this should be able to fill all of those needs.
Yeah, no, it's really great. So what really starting from the profile settings, that first page that we looked at together, the whole goal is to simplify this so you're not entering things in multiple times.
Yes.
And right now where it says generating your toolkit, it's probably going to take a few more seconds for this to load. That'll actually populate all of the different fields from before. So then when we click generate toolkit, it says content generated successfely,
Yeah.
right? It filled in all of these blanks here that we would normally need.
Yes.
And then when I click generate toolkit, this creates that document here. You can see speaker toolkit. And if I were going to click on that and then bring it over here, see if I can do that. There it is. That's that Microsoft Word document that I would probably bring back to you, Lois, and say, okay, what do I need to fix here before I then go have a conversation with my client, right?
You know, Doug, I am all for people spending lots of money and hours and having me build them. I'm all for that, by the way. However, if you can have, I always recommend, Doug, before you work with me, you might want to read my book. This is kind of the same thing, being prepared. You will spend less time with me. Our time will be more productive,
right,
if you come with these assets in hand. And so, and for some of this, you might not feel like you need me, which would be sad, but could be true. So this is kind of like my admonition to prospective clients. Read my book. I think that it will give you a basic understanding. It certainly gives you an idea of how I work. But this whole program gives you an idea of how I work. And it is very much my personality. Certainly the course is, because it comes straight from my book. I have been asked over the years to create a course for my book, and finally it's happened. And I hope those of you who take advantage of this, I hope you really enjoy it. I think it's a great program. I think you'll find it incredibly helpful. But I'm just thrilled at how dynamic this can be. And these are all living documents that can be updated, changed, depending upon where you are in your business.
Well, Lois, here's the thing, and maybe I come from a different generation, or maybe it's my learning style. I don't want to read your book. I want to play with it.
Yes.
I want to get in here and actually play with it. And then if I get something wrong, right? Okay, well, that was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, that was right. And I'm just guessing. But
Doug,
I want to play with it, because if I don't, I might just be bored, or the chapters might not make sense. This actually gives me an opportunity to really dig in for each chapter.
It does. And one of the things that we learned coming out of COVID is that people like to learn in different ways. That really, I think, made that so evident, clearer than ever. And so you can read the book if you want to. You can get the audiobook, you can get the Kindle book, or you can do this in an interactive way and get all of the content of the book.
Yeah. So one of the things that I thought was kind of fun, and this is based upon your book, right, is like how much should I charge for my speaking, right? And then you always give the good lawyer answer. Well, it depends,
It does depend. But I think this is a good barometer for you to look at, quite frankly, in thinking about what your business looks like, and what your experience, what experience, expertise do you bring to this?
Target market,
Yes.
presentation type,
Yep.
expected size audience, travel, because if you do an international presentation, you're definitely going to charge more than you would for something that's local.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Now these unique value factors are kind of interesting, and I wouldn't say that they're 100% correct, but what it does give you is a benchmark, right, to have
It,
conversations.
it also, you know what else it gives you, Doug? It gives you confidence.
Yeah.
When you're looking at a fee and you're thinking, wow, that might be a little more than I would ask. This really, that checklist alone makes you really think about what you bring to this endeavor. And I think it's important.
Well, not just that, but it's like, okay, every time you have a conversation, because you can't speak unless you sell yourself, right?
That's exactly right.
And one of the most common questions you'll get or objections you'll get is your fee is over our budget.
Yes,
Well, this is what you would say based upon
that's
what's
right.
in your book,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
It's like word for word. I
I
understand
mean,
your budget constraints. Let's find a way to work within your parameters.
you can literally have this open when you're talking to somebody and you're having that conversation and
Yeah,
you're hearing objections. You can, I suggest you read it before you have a conversation, but this will keep it fresh in your memory about what you want to be able to say, how you want to frame your reply.
sure. Well, let's talk about building your business, right?
Okay.
So, how many times do you have this conversation where, okay, this is my 2025 business plan. How many events are you going to speak this year? Like, what's your projected? The 20,
Mm-hmm.
50? Are you going to have a life?
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good question.
So let's say
Yeah.
it's 50, and then what do you would let's say I don't know, 3,000 charge per year. So now
Mm-hmm.
your projected speaking revenues 150,000.
Yeah.
But as a speaker, right, as an expert, there's additional forms of revenue. So talk to me a little bit about that, because many times we just think that it's just about the speech and filling a time slot, but there are opportunities to work deeper with the client that might be able to bring in more revenue.
The last chapter in my book is called Aftercare. And it's really asking you to consider this. What's a next step you can take once someone has invested in bringing you into the company and they already know, like, and trust you? And for me, when I was doing sales, this all started, Doug, and I should say that I had a plan, but I had no plan. I had 4 sales managers come up to me after a program I did for a company. And I thought it was interesting. They all wanted to approach me and talk to me at the same time and hear each other, hear all of the interplay about my program. So when I came back, I did what I call a follow-up thank you call that's explained in the course, what that consists of. And I said to the gentleman who hired me, I said, one of my phrases that pays, do you think it would make sense? And I said, do you think it would make sense for me to work with your sales managers to actually apply the ideas and tactics I talked about in the platform? Because we could make that happen virtually. And then he said, what would that look like? I had no idea because I hadn't planned on saying it and I hadn't done it before. But I decided not to say, I don't know, because I've never done it before. I was smart enough to know that. So I said, I'll send you a few options. I'll have an email in your box in the morning. And I did. And and the course and in the book, I explain what aftercare is, but it's what other services can you apply and charge for? So do you do consulting, one-on-one or small group consulting? If you have a book, can you do a book club with some of the leadership team? Can you do a retreat? What are the things that can come afterwards, after your program, when people have already been introduced to your IP? And so these should all be good revenue sources for you. And I'll tell you, now more than ever, don't count on just getting on a plane and invoicing somebody for a speech and coming home and keep doing that for your income solely, because it'll drive you crazy with the way travel is now. Plus, how can you leverage a relationship to make more money? And what I found and what my clients find is that sometimes on that back end, these things that we have listed out under projection summary here under speaking fees, sometimes that will be much more than your speaking fee. So these are important considerations of your business. To really have a thriving speaking practice, I want you to think about all of the vehicles you can use, all of the ways that a client can invest in your company and you can be helpful to them.
Well, I appreciate you digging into that because I think so many times as a speaker, you're just looking at that speaking fee and not really considering it. And I
Yeah,
think also too, many clients just think, okay, well, we're just bringing in a speaker,
right.
and we might not ever see them again. However, if you do deliver value and you do um, build a relationship, a meaningful relationship during that process, that other stuff will start to come in.
I mean, this is a relationship business. I think all business is relationship. And certainly, how can you deepen the relationship? And Doug, I almost think that when you offer these ancillary services afterwards, whether they buy them or not, you go from being a speaker to a resource.
Yeah.
And I think that's a higher calling, quite frankly,
Yeah.
than just being a speaker. And so we want people to think more dynamically about their business and how many ways, how many vehicles can they use to put their intellectual property in the market.
No, it's so good. Here's another one that comes up. You know, every time we go out and speak, right, we're in the business of collecting testimonials.
Yes.
And sometimes we forget, sometimes we don't really have a process to go through. Tell me what that's like.
Well, I call testimonials the economic capital of your speaking practice because they are the things, quite frankly, that give a client confidence in hiring you. They want to know what other people had to say who invested in your services. And so I think it's important to have this always be a part of your sales process, going back for a testimonial after an event. Now, will you get one every time you ask? No. But there are ways, and this is one way, to make it not as heavy lifting for the client, quite frankly, by reminding them what you brought to the table, asking them, of course, what they're comfortable doing, but by reminding them of the key points or the key takeaways, the key outcomes that you brought. And it also lets people know that you are constantly, as you add these and put them out in social media or put them on your website, it gives people more and more social proof of your expertise and your ability to communicate that expertise.
I know some people are probably looking at this widget we have called testimonial generator and thinking, well, you can't do that. You can't just create testimonials for yourself and for like for fake clients. And that's not what this is. In
No.
fact, I'm gonna bring in this little legal notice here. And I'm
Yes.
not an attorney, but this is just common sense that self-created testimonials using AI are not permitted by federal law. Any general testimonial must be verified and approved by the individual mentioned before use. This tool creates drafts only, client verification
Yes.
required.
Yeah. I think that, I think it's important to know. And the thought that went into this, quite frankly, is that a lot of the people who make the decisions to bring you in, especially corporate clients, they aren't professional meeting planners. A lot of them are executive VPs or senior VPs who are not used to writing testimonials, not used to giving them. So if I say, I'd love a testimonial if you're happy, they will probably say, what would you like me to say? And you can give them some suggestions. This is not saying, I want you to use this verbatim, but it's giving them an idea. You can even say, this is what others have had to say, what others have gotten from my program, a program like this that I did. And it might give them more confidence in approaching actually get this done.
Yeah, so does this work? Doug Devitre delivered an exceptional presentation on AI for Book More Business, brought incredible energy, enthusiasm.
There you
So I
go.
would, I would copy and paste this, send it to you as an email, and if you
That's
say
right.
this is good to go, then sure, I'm gonna put this everywhere I can, or I might even request a LinkedIn recommendation, send it to you, and then you just would put it in there
That's right.
to be able to verify it.
That's right. And then if there's something that I want to add, I might want to add, we loved his program and I know we'll be bringing him back. So there are things that I can add on there. But it does kind of plant that seed to actually see this get done. And that's the whole idea of the testimonial generator.
Well, gosh, there's so much in here. Let's look at, this is the good one. The the resource library, right? How many
Yeah,
templates do we need as professional speakers? I know that you mentioned a lot of them in your book, right?
I
But
do.
in that book, you can't really, it's really hard to copy and paste,
That's right.
or you'd have to
That's right.
retype it. Right
Yep.
now, you've got something where it
Yeah, it's
automatically
kind of a,
pulls everything in
yeah,
from your profile settings.
it is. And, and what we've put in here, this is the actual agreement that I use. I've used for over 20 years for speaking and consulting in my business. It's worked really well. Qualifying questions when you're selling, pre-event questionnaire, which the keys to the kingdom when I started using this and promoting that I use it, Doug. I used to just wait to get a contract, and then I'd say, well, then I just need a few minutes to make sure that I'm schooled on what's going on there. One day, I just decided to send it to an association who asked for marketing materials. I got hired. And when I asked the gentleman on the committee, why did you decide to go with me? He said, you were the only one who let us know what kind of prep work you put in before the event. And I
Wow.
thought, you're kidding. And I hadn't been sending this before. So we learn from each other, learn from these experiences. This will be an absolutely game changer for you.
Which just saves so much time. You don't have to keep
Totally.
retyping everything.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it really does. And I think that the point that I really want to make about this is that this is a great holistic approach to getting your arms around the instruments you need to put yourself down in the marketplace in a really highly professional way, position yourself really well, being able to be ultimately responsible and very responsive. I know I had lunch with a woman who owned a bureau at the last NSA convention, and she said, you'd be amazed at the number of people who don't get back to me
Wow.
in a quick amount of time. And a lot of times it's because they're creating the very things that you and I have been looking at from scratch at every opportunity. So this just gives you an opportunity to get your arms around your business and always be prepared and responsive and professional.
Well, and also too, let's pretend that you at some point in your career, right? Because we evolve, we gain new expertise, we decide at some point we might want to speak to different audiences. How easy is it to be able to rebrand yourself and your messaging if you want to go in a different direction?
I mean, this is a great point, Doug. What if a speaker, decided to add a target market because I had a great opportunity and it really spoke to these people, and I want to generate some materials that are specific to a new market? I can do it in a minute using this program, going back in and just changing a few settings. So it's not having to, as you said, copy and paste. And then even if I'm going to use Chat GPT, go to Chat GPT, write something up, have it suggested, copy and paste, go back. I mean, it just really is a very interactive way. And this is just productivity plus.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to, this system is not perfect by any means, right? It's something that we continue to work on. And
Yes.
why don't you tell folks how they can get started with this if they want to try it out?
Well, we're very excited, and I just have to thank my partner in crime on this. Doug is, I think, just a genius on AI. And if you need AI for your business, he's the one I suggest that you reach out to. I did. And I know a lot of people who do AI, as you probably have guessed. Doug is great to work with, and he is the one who put all of the brains and work behind this system. And if this is something that makes sense to you, it is going to be, right now we're having an introductory price of $299. The price of this is $499 a year. Right now, because as Doug just said, there are going to still be some glitches. This is all new, and we're going to correct those glitches whenever we hear about them. But we're looking for 10 people to beta test this for us. And when you beta test, we're going to give you $200 off if you will give us feedback and help us make this even better for future users. And so we're always glad to have you at $499 a year. for the program, but we're just looking for just some beta testers right now. We're going to be really picky because we want to get feedback from people. So if this is something that you're interested in and want to jump on it, we welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, thank you. You know, there's Lois, you've done all the you might look like I've done all the work. You've done all the work in refining this process, getting the content prepared, even structured to be able to put inside a system like this. So thank you for you know, I don't know how to say it, but making it easy for me to now help speakers in a whole different way using AI to be able to grow, to book more business.
Well, I think that we're a good team, and I think that this is a great example. And, and I would tell anybody who is listening to us, how could something like this benefit your business? How can you position yourself better with your clients by having something like this available? And I would certainly talk to Doug about it. I am really excited about this. Excited to have you as a partner. Doug and I have known each other for over 20 years. I'm a big fan of his. And so I could not be more excited about this, Doug. So we are just looking forward to our first beta testers, seeing what you think, getting your feedback, your thoughts, your feedback important to us. That's why we're doing this. And I'm excited.
All right.
Thanks for taking the time to be with me today, Doug, and giving everybody a preview of what we have to offer. And everyone, you'll see this on my social media. You'll see it on any of my social media profiles. If you're on my listserv, if you're not, get on it. But if you're, go to bookmorebusiness.com and sign up for my blog posts and announcements. You'll get every announcement on this. But we're just hoping that this is a big benefit to your business. That's why we created it, and that's why we're excited about it. So thanks for joining us, everybody.
All right.
So long.